Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Tuesday, May 2nd, and we are 1 day away from the FOMC meeting, the much anticipated FOMC meeting, I should say. That is 2 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, Wednesday, May 3rd. And of course, we all know 2 p.m. is when the rate hike announcement happens, and then 30 minutes after at 2:30 p.m. ET is when Jerome Powell will actually make his speech and take questions and answers, which is when the market will, firmly decide which direction, everything will be headed. So we could, let's say we get a 25 basis point hike, and the market drops off in that, immediately at 2 p.m. And then Jerome Powell comes in and says, we're done with rate hikes. We're pleased with the progress of inflation and unemployment. Then, the market would pretty much rebound, because that signals that the Fed would want to be done with potential tightening. And then, potentially on the other side, we get 25 basis points, the market drops. And then Jerome Powell comes on and says, we're expecting at least one more basis point hike. We're not very pleased with all the progress, and the market's probably going to continue lower. So that speech is going to contain the core information in which the market will move with in the future in that speech. So, very much recommend, if you are trading FOMC, you could see the direction change during the speech, or, you could obviously see momentum continue, but you want to listen for keywords like, we're expecting future rate hikes. We are pleased. We are not pleased. Positive versus negative words. Well, obviously, positive words will be dovish, negative words will be hawkish, and that's typically how you will take FOMC. So interestingly enough, again, the dollar rose higher overnight and then dropped off a little bit this morning. So, got very close to that 102.5 number, still more or less ranging, not really affecting too much in my opinion, but obviously the rise, in DXY certainly, did dampen equities a bit, but we've seen, large crypto and equities divergence. So looking at equities, we did say, if we lost 41.45 this morning, that we'd see 41, 11. We actually dropped well below 41.11 all the way down to 40.88. So just getting, let's resnap this. If we're looking at, where support is, so, we're this demand, why is this? Okay. So this demand area right here is obviously playing in because we survived right here. It also lines up with this range right here. So it does make sense that, if we kind of draw a line here, the top of this previous range is obviously the low of where we got today. So, that price action is making sense. If we drop below 40.90, which is, the top of this area, and obviously where the wick opened for the hourly, which we're sitting in now, if this breaks, then you're definitely headed, back down to this area. I would say, maybe you catch at this area, but I would say, you're definitely going to drop down near 40.60. And then obviously, if 40.90 holds, then, the next target would be 41.11, which we're very close to right now. So the next step in terms of looking at price action is, if 41.11 gets rejected, then you're going to head right back down to that 40.90 level. You can get above 40.11, then you obviously can then start moving higher, and you would start to target, this low first, which will likely coincide with the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. So that'll probably be around 41.30, 41.27, something like that. So there's your trades right here. So rejected at 41.11, back down here, break above 41.11, launch up to 41.25 or higher, break below 40.92, and you are going to drop down near 40.60 in my opinion. And of course, we do have FOMC tomorrow, so probably not best to trade anything immediately. Wait for some of this price action to wash out. You obviously got a big move today. No reason to really jump in immediately. If you do break above the 41.11, 41.12 number, you can jump into a long. If you get rejected here, you can jump into a short. Obviously, if we trickle down and break below 40.90, then you can grab another short here. So price action is pretty obvious heading in FOMC. You have, your range, you have your high, you have your low. Trade, the extremes if you're given. And then, of course, if we, deviate, come back down here, easy little short there. So looking at Bitcoin, absolutely fascinating because, equities did this morning and crypto did that. So, pretty much these red candles coincide with these green candles right here. So, we don't have much to make sense of that right now, unfortunately, but we do have our trading ranges. So obviously, holding the 28 level, we said, 28, if you can get above the 28.3 level, then obviously 28.8 is the high due to the range high, as well as, hanging around the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. So this is obviously now your resistance. Rejected here, you're coming back down to 28K. Lose 28K, obviously you have the 27.6 level to hold you first, but lose that and you are dropping all the way down to 27.2. And then, of course, if you can get above the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, we'll call that 28.7, because I think 28.8 is really the number you need to break. But obviously, this is your first signal for long. Get above that, and then you can obviously move higher if you confirm above the 28.8 level. So personally, I did not expect the boost today, but I do think that we're seeing a very similar type of move to what we saw here and what we saw here and what we saw here. Random spike up straight into the resistance level. Obviously, you've got the trading range here and you've got the lows from right here to act as resistance. So in my opinion, this is probably going to break back down to the 28 level, but you obviously have the 28.3 level, which is the weekly VWAP, to act as support first. Obviously, you saw this little bounce before we hit 28.8. So 28.3 would be the first level where you would want to see price hold. And obviously, if price broke, then it's going to head back to 28, lose 28, 27.6, lose 27.6, down to 27.2. Obviously, lose 27.2, down to 26.6. And just to kind of zoom out a little bit, for what I'm looking at, I think 26.6 is really the last level for any bullish momentum. We can certainly still survive down here at what is this, the 25 level, 24.8, because here we go, coincides with the 1 day estimated 200 moving average. You've got support right here. So if we break below 28.6, we could definitely survive at the 24.8, 25 level, but I'd want to see a quick buyback. We definitely do not want to be sitting down here for long, else we risk breaking through this, and then you have to pray for a really ugly deviation to save you, and we really it's very risky at that point. You can't really bank on that. So obviously I would have said breaking below 21.3 would have been very bad in the beginning, and it did, and it was pretty bearish for a couple of days. We did reverse out of that. So I'm not saying it's going to be over if we tag 25 or get lower, but it gets a lot more difficult to continue bullish momentum if you lose the 26.6K level, and 100% if you lose the 24.8 level. So we want to maintain strength there. But right now, just in the immediate term, if 28.3 fails, we're definitely going to head back down to this little range that we were trading in. And I do feel that we're going to be bearish on FOMC due to the fact that it's going to be it's likely going to be a 25 basis point hike. I obviously don't have that information and sitting in my back pocket, but all the indications have pointed to a likely 25 basis point hike. And that is what we are obviously, matching up right now. So that could be wrong. We might not get that. Prices could rise tomorrow, but right now the indication does point to 25 basis point hike. If we continue higher, then, maybe we do something like this into tomorrow, or, that's very early on, Wednesday, May 3rd, Wednesday morning. And then we end up selling off, back down here during FOMC. That's definitely possible. But in my opinion, I don't think you should be, looking for too many longs here. And this certainly looks very similar to the price action that we've seen in the past on pumps. So moving forward to ETH, very similar price action, is not obvious, but relatively easy to trade from a level to level perspective. So broke above the VWAP, broke above 1845, moved up to the low end of this range, did not get all the way up to the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, still also hovering around the VWAP band. VWAP sitting at 1840. So if we, drop back down here, 1845 would be the first area you'd want to bounce, as low as 1840. Break below 1840, probably headed down to 1825, lose 1825, headed down to 1806, lose 1806, and you're dropping pretty hard. Let's go ahead and zoom out just to give a little bit of a larger indication. So if you lose that 1806 level, then you're going to probably drop down to the 1705 level, which coincides with previous resistance, support, as well as the 1-day estimated 200 moving average. So basically, if we lose, I don't know why that happened. So basically, if we lose this range that we were trading in for the past couple of days, we are going to be headed down to pretty darn close to the 1700 level, in my opinion. But of course, we do have a few areas of potential savior. Although in my opinion, it's not looking very good. It looks very similar to what we saw here and what we saw here as well. So it can definitely still hold, like I said, at 1845 or 1840. But you lose those two levels, and it starts to look really ugly. Especially if you lose that 1806 level, you're going to drop like a rock. So definitely the last hope for ETH is obviously just above 1800. We need to hold this level, else we will drop down to 1700. And of course, on the other side, if we do end up continuing higher today, if you can get above the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, then you can definitely move up higher like that. But I will say, also important to be concerned about the previous high for the weekly VWAP. We definitely tried to beat that last Wednesday, as it was up here, but still could not do it. And we just made our attempt and we are failing. So definitely could still see something like this, but I'm not banking on it. And if we get it, I'll probably short it because my bias is short heading into FOMC. So the final thing is nothing really important there. I will say, just to give everybody an update on what I'm looking at here, is we're seeing a lot of spot selling. So we saw a massive boost in spot buying on, I think Bitfinex had a 50K wick, which is absolutely insane. But my aggregate, the wick got up to about 30.5. And perps are still running hot, but spot basically has been selling off this entire move, so which is quite fascinating. So that could definitely reverse, certainly could, but typically when we see some divergence as big as this, it is because the spot bid is being pulled, and perps are really just playing around with price right now, which to me signals that there's not a lot of spot interest, and price shouldn't move too much higher to what would make me think otherwise is obviously spot launching up to meet with perp. So if we move up to, let's say, 20.8 again, and spot pulls not succumbs, spot overtakes a lot of this gap, then I would be like, okay, maybe we're headed up to 30 again. But for now, the preliminary indication is that spot is selling off this entire move, and perps are the only ones keeping it alive. As you can see, we've got a lot of spot or perp interest right down here, but spot pretty much topped at that 28.8 level, and we've been selling off. Coinbase a little bit interested, not unusual during the US session, not making me want to pipe like major shorts or anything like that, but definitely just calling a little bit of bullshit on this recent pump, which I think the data is obviously supporting. So in my opinion, the big news tomorrow is FOMC, federal interest rate announcement. The press conference comes at 2:30. So in my opinion, if we get the 25 basis point hike, prices will drop depending on the guidance. His conversation in the press conference, if he's positive and thinks that there's no more rate hikes, the market will then reverse and pump. If he is, has a negative outlook on the progress and thinks that there's going to be at least one more interest rate hike, you'll probably see prices continue to drop after his conference. So that is basically the outlook now. I think you can remain patient until tomorrow. We definitely, we could see higher prices. I'm not saying, I definitely did not communicate that I am shorting willy-nilly or that I'm currently short, but I'm definitely of the opinion that, the move that we're seeing today is BS. Therefore, I would like to short it once I feel that it's obvious that prices are capping out. But of course, the one thing to look for, which we equities and crypto, obviously there's nothing to pull from the equities landscape right now. So treat these as separately until we see some correlation come back. But just for the equity side of things, we obviously saw a big drop today. We typically will not just continue to drop immediately. We could see something like this where we pump up into resistance, get flat into the evening, sell off. We're back near 4,100 by tomorrow morning, and then potentially there's a volatility. But again, I think you can be patient, because we're going to have a full pretty much trading session tomorrow before FOMC. A lot of times you get the data at 8:30 a.m. Then, the trading session, is after the data comes out, but the trading session will end before we get all the FOMC data. So I think we'll still have another full day of trading for equities and crypto before that, which is definitely leads me to believe that we could see a little bit more higher price action, because we still have pretty much 1.5 sessions, well, not 1.5, 1.25 sessions left until the announcement. So stay careful. Don't overextend yourself. Although I am bearish, you're always more than welcome to fade me. And of course, if you have any opinions, we'd love to hear about it in the Trade the Chain community or on Twitter in reference to our outlook on FOMC, what anybody else is seeing. Please feel free to tag us or hit us up in the Trade the Chain community. We'd love to discuss these things with you. We're obviously dropping insights every single day, trade ideas Monday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 different trade ideas every single morning, covering cryptos and equity. So if you want to, continue that discussion, it's always happening in the TTC community, and we're happy to carry it over to Twitter for you guys. So good luck, happy trading. See everybody tomorrow. We'll obviously chat before the FOMC meeting, but if you miss it, if you're busy tomorrow, remember 2 p.m. Eastern, volatility will occur. So good luck, happy trading. Speak soon.